Hands up. Put the mouse down.
Gosh.
Stop scrolling and stop clicking. You've reached. Sorry.
You want to try that again?
I'm just so angry. You've reached.
You've reached
the DweeBros podcast.
Yeah, you need to throw your mouse away. if you're on your phone.
We are looking for a suspect that's on the internet for video game, movie, and TV show talk and gaming news.
Yeah.
And we're taking you in. And by taking you in, we're putting the mouse down and we're capturing your attention for the next hour and a half. I am your host, Zach, joined by the fellow host.
My name is Travis.
Travis.
Co-host, some people call it.
And we are the DweeBros. Welcome.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for joining us. As you can see, we usually have our other host.
There's another person normally here?
Yeah.
Who?
Right beside you, Jacob, a.k.a. Werewolf.
Oh, Jacob.
He, unfortunately, we can get right off the bat on the game news. With all the layoffs happening, we had to lay off Jacob.
Yeah. So if
we
you
had
remember
our most
last
successful
time,
podcast, so we had to lay him off.
Yeah, if you remember last time, the government was shut down and I wasn't here.
Yes, we had.
But now the government's back up and running. So
but the gaming government.
So our funds came right back in. But then we had the most successful launch of the Backlog Bros show, which I'm sure some of you guys watched, the new show me and Jacob are doing. It was so successful, thousands of views. You should absolutely go, and you already watched it. Go watch it again. But it was so successful that we actually had to lay off half of the workforce. So and we
the gaming government is shut down.
We couldn't fire me because
you're back.
I'm back. I just came back. You don't fire somebody twice.
Once you come off sabbatical.
So Jacob had to bite the dust. So now it's a two-man show.
Yep. But we'll see. Maybe he'll get hired at Activision. Or no, he won't. No one.
He said he's going to start an independent channel.
Oh, yeah. He wants to do an independent
He wants to do
game.
an indie channel. He wants to do his own thing.
There was a ton of freaking layoffs. And you had a revelation, if you want to talk about it. So Activision Blizzard, I don't know if did we mention it last podcast? I cannot keep up with time right now, but was that last podcast we talked about Destiny? I don't know if we talked about it.
Yeah, you all talked about it when I wasn't here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we did talk about that. Yeah. Destiny, Bungie's leaving with Destiny. They're taking their kid with them. But I guess in that you said the other day you had a revelation of all these layoffs. Because so Activision announced, they said, we've had the most successful year. And then...
Literally on the earnings call.
On the earnings call. Yeah, and we're laying off everybody. It's like, what happened? And then you came up with...
Yeah, and I don't know if this is the whole reason why.
I think this is the whole reason.
But... So hear me out here. I am not pro layoff. I like having a job.
Really? Okay.
I think having a job is great. I think it's great when companies give people jobs. I think it sucks when they take jobs. However, I think that we live in a climate where anytime anything happens, people just lose their freaking minds. And so Activision Blizzard did just let a lot of people go, and there's a lot of people who don't have jobs right now from the games industry who worked for Activision Blizzard. But one of the reasons why, and I think this is totally not ringing in people's head as a reason why potentially they've let go of a lot of people, is Activision Blizzard, well-known, owned the Destiny franchise with Bungie, had a 10-year contract with Bungie that all the Bungie's games, all of their Destiny product and games would be going out through Activision, and Activision would publish those games. And they had that partnership. Well, last month, when I wasn't here because the government was shut down, if you remember, Destiny and Bungie split from Activision. They completely split. They completely took the Destiny IP, and not just the Destiny IP, because that's what we think of as the creative. That was a big win. Like, that was exciting for us to hear, that Bungie's going indie. Well, when you take the game, you also take the revenue stream. Yeah. You take the microtransactions with you. You take the Eververse. You take all those things. And so it makes sense to me how a company who, one, they fell short of their earnings, even with Destiny and everything they had. They fell short of their goals, even though they were record highs, because their goals were record highs. And so when you do that, you're going to have a lot of angry investors because they are expecting you to return on investment. It doesn't matter if there's growth if it's not the growth they projected. So one, they didn't hit their growth mark, but two, one of their primary silos, one of their primary methods of gaining revenue is the Eververse and is Destiny and is that series and that franchise.
What is Eververse?
Eververse is the shop inside of Destiny where all the microtransactions go down. So, and between FIFA, between Overwatch, and all the different, streams of revenue that Activision has, yes, Destiny's just one drop in the bucket, but you know what? The people that just lost their jobs, I mean, I think that plays a role, possibly. And why is that there's a stream of revenue, in addition to them not hitting their goals, there's a stream of revenue now completely severed from Activision, or at least is going to be severed over the next fiscal year. So it stinks. I think it sucks to see people lose their jobs, but I think at the same time, we as gamers last month are celebrating that Bungie's going independent. They're going off on their own.
Cause and effect.
And I'm not saying that Activision's justified in letting all those people go. I think they're going to pay them severance. I think they're going to try to do some of the right things. Correct me if I'm wrong. But at the end of the day, this is kind of part of that backside of when people go independent and take IP away from the company has to shed some of its operating budget.
Yeah. Well, so
it's just part of how business works. Not saying it's great, but
you have Activision Blizzard. You have that. That was a major one.
Yeah.
Then you had one. I'm sorry, I forget the name, but it was in Australia. They let off so much.
Just recently.
Yes.
EA.
They let off.
Or was it EA?
I think it was a part of EA, yes.
A part of EA just shedded some people. It was
a subsidiary of one, so it might have been EA. But whatever that sub-studio was, I saw a post talking about it. It was like the number, it was massive layoffs, and they said the number, because it was so big and it was in Australia, it was 10% of the game development workforce in Australia.
Whoa.
Which I don't know how big it is or whatever, but 10% sounds like a big loss for the whole industry there. But then Guild Wars, they're laying off a bunch of people as well, the people that work on that. So,
wow. I heard about that. One of the messed up things about the Guild Wars thing is when all of these Blizzard Activision firings went down last week, they were tweeting, their company was tweeting out companies were tweeting hey, we've got open jobs. They were one of the companies that was, hey, we have open jobs. We're hiring for this and this and this. And,
oh, no.
And then they were doing that last week because they had open jobs. And then they find out today, well, we don't have open jobs probably. And so it sucks. And somebody did bring something up that I heard, and I thought that's an interesting point, which is in the film industry, which we've talked about the analogs between the film industry and the games industry. They're both highly competitive. It's a creator's industry. It's an industry where you have to make things happen, but also executives rake in tons of money, and the people who do a lot of the hard work are still kind of the bottom of the barrel. Or the bottom, the lowest person on the totem pole. But one of the things that's interesting about the film industry, at least here in America, is it's mostly centered in Hollywood. Whereas the games industry is not centered in one place. So when the movie business, when you finish a movie, you get fired from a movie, or whatever happens, or you get fired from one production company, you just go across the road to another lot. Oh, I'll go to Paramount, or I'll go to Warner Brothers. And that is one of the tricky things about the games industry is when you lose your job and you are working Rockstar in London and they lay you off. Okay, where am I moving now? Like Vancouver, Australia, San Francisco. And so I do think it's interesting, the idea that these people should unionize. I hear it all the time from Kotaku. We've talked on this podcast about the logistics of something like that actually happening are almost pie in the sky when you think about, and then you take into account not only how all these people are part of different companies, but they're all across the world. They're so spread out. The effort to make that happen, I'm not rooting against it, but I would say it would be a fundamental shift that the industry might.
As Hollywood, I
don't know.
If you're in the movie industry, you go to Hollywood. If you're in the tech industry, you go to Silicon Valley. Let's make Ohio.
Yeah, let's do it.
The game.
Cost of living is cheap.
Yeah.
There's startups all over the place. Hey,
I'm not having to live in my car. And did you know that people in San Francisco and places like that
they'll live in their car.
They'll
make $100,000 a year
$100,000 living in a car. You don't have to do that here. Yeah. That you could get a nice house for.
To me, it doesn't make any sense either, because you can develop a game from anywhere. why do these companies not utilize? Is it a fear that they won't be able to draw talent to certain areas? Like, why are they setting up shop in some of these ridiculously expensive countries?
I think because if you're making
tax breaks, like, what is it?
I think it's the general, like, I don't think Naughty Dog would ever come to Ohio.
Yeah, they
like
just
a
wouldn't.
flyover
Yeah.
state. They just wouldn't because it's the area that they're at. There's a lot going on. There's a lot, you know what I mean? Like, it's either nice weather. It's always nice there. It's like, come here, you have to go into, if you go to places like, but it's weird. Like
where people are like literally they're having to fire 20% of their workforce. Their revenue is way up. They need to bring their labor down. They don't care about their employees at any other step. So why care about if there's good weather? Like, just put them in Ohio.
But you know what?
Save the money.
I think it's a lose-lose situation. What if during the earning call we said we're hiring more people and we're moving to Ohio?
Sell.
There'd be an even bigger backlash. I can't believe they did this.
Cincinnati ain't bad, man. Cincinnati ain't bad.
But those people in LA or wherever they're working at, like, we're just really upset about
We
this.
would rather work 100 hours a week. My gosh.
They changed their tune. More game news. I say we stay on the game news topic because we just were hit with big game news stuff.
We've been hit with a bat of game news in the last few days.
Yeah, just the past couple of days. But our captain, our funny uncle, our best friend, Reggie Fils-de-May, is gonzo.
He died on... Oh, wait.
Oh,
wait.
No, he's still alive. But he is dead to Nintendo.
He's dead to us, yeah.
He left, he's leaving, he's stepping down, and how funny that the person stepping up, and we kind of already knew about this guy.
Let's just to clarify, he's not dead. He's retiring. His health is good.
His health is good.
His body is ready to rest.
That is true. His replacement is Bowser, Doug Bowser.
New president of Nintendo of America, Doug Bowser.
We haven't got to talk about this, but I was reading more about our buddy Doug Bowser. He's coming. He worked at EA from 2007 to 2015. I didn't know that, so I just went, they let Bowser literally into the castle.
Yeah, here's my thought. Executives, when you're an executive, you're not a game developer. Unless you're like Miyamoto, you don't care. Like, you care about people, but you're a business executive. That is what you do, okay? And if you're a business executive in the games industry, EA is like working at McDonald's. Like saying I worked in fast food. I worked at McDonald's at one point. Like, it's literally
like
by market share, you're just likely to work at McDonald's at some point.
Yeah.
He did work there for quite a while. He's been, I kind of Googled his name just to see, and I see he's done some goofy like videos. He's done like goofy videos with Reggie, like in the past for like.
I did see one where he tied a GameCube controller cord around Mario and Luigi. Yeah. Back when he's like, "I'm here, I'm Doug Bowser."
Yeah. So a little scary knowing his roots, or at least maybe where he spent a good chunk of time.
I think this is part of the movie when you're like, "Oh, they let this guy in," and then find out that he is the evil double agent.
But here's the thing: he left EA.
That's true.
Which that implies at some point he decided that was not the place for him, and he left in 2015, which is actually, they've been bad for a long time, but that was when they really started to commit to some of their really current bad practices. You know, EA's gone through ebbs and flows. They were like the least popular company in the world, but then they were putting out like Skate and Dead Space 2. They were doing some cool stuff, Mirror's Edge, and then like they came back around, and now they're back in you know the bad zone as far as people's mind share. And so who knows? This guy seems like he's a goofy Nintendo type guy.
We'll give him a shot, but he might get his own segment.
His last name is Boomer Bust. It's great that his name's Bowser. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'm not ringing any alarm bells. I think it stinks.
That's like if they hired somebody at Sony, Nathan Drake. We have our new marketing director, Nathan Drake, and.
It'd be like if they named somebody named Sephiroth because
we have a new vice president, Crash Bandicoot. No relation to the Crash Bandicoot.
So I don't know. I think that's a good find though that he was at EA.
I felt weird about this one because I felt sad about this one because I remember when he initially started. I believe it was in like 2004 or something like that. I remember seeing him like on E3 and all that stuff and. when he first started, his big thing, I'm messing up the quote or whatever, but he's like, I'm here to kick ass.
Yeah,
and stuff. And it's like, ooh, at a Nintendo conference.
He's one of those guys, he's an executive, and he is awkward, but he owns it in just the right way that it makes him funny. Mm-hmm. You know? He's not like grown, like, this guy's trying to be cool. Like, Phil Spencer sometimes enters that tier. I like Phil Spencer. I like the unplugged interviews with him, but when he's on stage, he's got that crap-eating grin, and he's just like, "We're gonna give it to the gamers." And I'm like, "Jeez, dude, I can't."
But Reggie always felt fun.
But Reggie always
there was points that I was cracking
just
up.
a little cringe, but just little enough that he's cool.
Not even that. His main role was to market and sell Nintendo games. That was his main major.
That's your job. Yeah.
Goal. But in that, it was funny that he would be asked these questions because Nintendo, and we have a whole segment of it. It's so they do so many stupid things.
So many stupid things.
Iwata's Final Troll, we talk about it all the time. That it was funny when they would do something stupid. They would ask him, why did you do the most dumbest thing in the world? And he would spin it, and you would go...
He's a spin master.
Yeah, and it's because he used to work at Pizza Hut, too. He's been to the rounds of, all these, companies. He knows how to spin stuff and market. I mean, he's great at it. That's why he got hired. But it was funny. It's wow, you did some origami on that to make it into a great thing. It's actually great that we are putting out Metroid Federation Force. Everybody loves it. But I will miss him. But salute to Reggie. I liked him a lot. Maybe he'll come back on as guest spot. Maybe, definitely not. But
yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Sometimes these executive guys, they leave and you kind of realize, I mean, not that he doesn't love his job or care about Nintendo, but they leave. They're not like the developers where they're going to come back and they leave and they
I'm sure
move
he
on.
Had fun though with the culture and stuff that he got to do.
It's really the most playful company in the world,
It was so much more playful than working for Pizza Hut or something. I'm sure they probably have bonuses there, but to work at Nintendo and to how the industry is still so goofy.
Yeah.
Go look at any E3 conference and all that stuff. It's goofy. It's straight up.
E3 is going to be weird this year.
Bananas.
E3 is going to be weird this year. Reggie's gone.
Mm-hmm. No Sony conference.
Won't be there.
And onto our next thing. I don't know if you read this because we haven't had time to talk. Microsoft is showing their next thing at E3.
Is this confirmed?
There is multiple rumors that is definitely happening.
So the rumor is that it's the Project Scarlet.
Yes.
It's going to be 2 different boxes.
Yes.
It's to the point where what are they going to reveal? Because I feel like we know everything. One's going to be a full-blown next-gen console, solid-state drive. And then the other one is going to be a streaming box that will play all of those same games, but not in the box. It will stream it via the xCloud service. So, as far as the E3 bit of that information, cool. I'm down. I think it's time. I really like our current generation, but I'm fine. Last gen, we got in a weird place at the end of the gen where Sony popped out a couple cool things, but we were kind of just awkwardly hanging on. So I feel like I've gotten a lot out of this generation.
Oh yeah,
I'm good if they want to really go that route and start.
I've drowned in games this generation. Yeah, very slow start to this gen was we're waiting about 2 years, but it takes a little while with all launches.
And now it's in 2019, and I prefer a launch in 2020.
I think that's what it's looking like, and that sounds right with the timeline. So I always get. It's always cool when this period comes up, what's the tech? And there's this. It's always a fun period of speculation, and they start teasing stuff out, and leaks start coming out, and you're and then you get to see the first launch games, what they look like, and it's always graphically oh frick,
and I've been so wowed lately at E3 with what Sony's been showing, Ghosts of Tsushima and Death Stranding, and some of these games that are Cyberpunk that I don't know what next gen's going to look like because this gen's still kind of blowing my pants off.
Yeah.
I can't believe some of the stuff we've been seeing at E3. Last of Us 2.
Maybe they're... hey, Last of Us 2, launch that with the PS5.
Yeah.
That sounds
all these killer games, just put them out as launch
They had
titles.
to have known the timeline, but I think about that about Metal Gear Solid 5 because that was cross-gen as well. It looked better, of course, on Yeah, the consoles was like, they had to.
I think Microsoft and Sony have to have seen what Nintendo did with Breath of the Wild. Mm-hmm. Best game on the Switch, launched with the Switch.
Yeah.
Attach rate was like,
it was ungodly.
It was over 100% at one point.
I bought that system for that game.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's all Nintendo games. But
and I just think about where Microsoft is. They never even got a system seller this gen. Sony didn't launch with one, and they have had great progress. But I think they've got to be looking, and especially Microsoft, and saying, hey, what made the first Xbox successful? It launched with Halo. Mm-hmm. What made the second Xbox successful? I don't know.
Did you see that Halo Infinite is looking to be a launch?
Yeah, and that was what I was going to say. Like, that's another. So we can kind of open that up too, because we're going to see that at E3, I'm sure.
Let's do it.
Some rumors about Halo Infinite. It's going to be a launch title, is the rumor. Which if that releases, first of all, it is not outside the realm of possibility that they announce at E3 and they launch this fall. That I don't know if I'm ready. It would depend a lot.
I don't think we're just
that's
going to
happen.
I think it's 2020.
I think it's got to be.
Yeah.
So this time next year, we will probably know what the next Xbox is. We will know what Halo Infinite is, and we could be within a couple months of buying.
I think we're going to know a lot of stuff at E3. It sounds like maybe not see the console, because if you remember, this is more in recent memory. This is scary in recent memory. I remember so vividly the PS4 and the Xbox One launch that it's very weird to me. It's like we're talking about the next gen now.
Yeah.
Because it felt like it's gone for a while, but I remember that they were talking about information, and then it was closer to the launch. They showed the system finally.
I remember that YouTube video of them. Here's how you share a video game on PS4. That feels like not that long ago.
And that was E3 2013.
Yeah. So Halo Infinite, rumor is launch title. Rumor is RPG elements. Mm-hmm. Did you see that?
Yeah.
So rumor is it's going to be quest design, story choices. So I have wondered for a while, because the rumor has been that you're going to be able to go on the whole ring and it's going to be borderline open world. So if they go that route with it, I say with Halo, have fun. Go nuts. Because
it's time for its God of War moment.
It needs a God of War treatment. It needs a, hey, this is what the new, this is what, and it has some of the old, but more of the new. It needs it. I've got the Halo Master Chief Collection. I can play those games more or less, the ones that they were.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know. How does that sit with you, the idea of Xbox launching these two things? These two consoles, the idea of a Halo Infinite being an RPG.
Well, connected with that is another bombshell. This whole month has been nuts.
Been
but
bombshells.
Well,
okay, before we get to that though, and I know that is connected, but are you somewhat interested in what Xbox has going on?
Definitely. I think after this generation,
they've let out the final fart. They had to let out Crackdown.
Yes, that was
you ever
the
have the
fart.
farts, man, and you got tooting away. Sometimes you gotta get that last fart out, and then you can go to bed. And they let it. Crackdown was the last fart, and Anthem, because they had an exclusive marketing deal. But
you sent something that summed up Crackdown as well.
Unbelievable. Sea of Thieves, Crackdown, like what is the one with the zombies? They just have released all of these first party.
Dead Rising.
Yeah, I don't know that, or there was another one, the State of Decay 2.
State of Decay.
It's just like these 6 out of 10. Like you can have some fun with them if you play them with a bunch of friends, but they're just goofy nonsense.
And if you think I'm being harsh on them, some of those games, anybody talking about them, you can look at review scores, and that is a huge you can feel the pulse of how the people feel about it, but. You know how I feel, how I know of something, whatever? Where are the memes at? Where's people posting videos or clips? Breath of the Wild had 8 trillion things people talking about.
I do want to clarify.
People talking about these games.
If you have played Sea of Thieves and had fun, I'm not saying your experience isn't valid. If you played State of Decay, there's a guy I like a lot. He's on one of the podcasts I listen to. He played a ton of State of Decay 2. He said, this game is a broken mess, but I've had a ton of fun with it. You can take a butt game and have a bunch of fun with it. I'm not saying that's not the case. But Microsoft is Microsoft. Mm-hmm. They should be putting out dimes. They should be. Why is Microsoft? We've gone 8 years and they haven't put out a single seminal this game is fantastic this generation.
I don't have an Xbox One, and I was planning on buying it at launch.
That's why we're so.
And I
hard
love
on
the
them.
360.
We're hard on them because we love them. We want them to be putting out great stuff.
I love the 360.
So, but I think they've let out their last fart. I think that they are fully pivoted. I don't think there's anything else that's announced that they're committed to, that they have to make. Mm-hmm. All their other studios now, Halo Infinite is the only one we really know about. Rare's working on something new outside of Sea of Thieves. The company that they bought, Obsidian, they have the Outer Worlds, which actually looks really good. But that's not even yet on their Microsoft deal, so they're going to be making some new stuff. We don't know what the Gears people. I guess Gears 5, but those games are never farts. They're just kind of.
Yeah, they're there.
They're there.
You can play them.
Anyway, okay. So Xbox is fully getting to where they can take that pivot step. They've been pivoting, and now they can fully take that first step now. And with that, you were alluding to, we got the craziest rumor this past week that just blew my mind.
And it sounds pretty much confirmed. A lot of people have come forward.
Yeah, it's not like this is just one guy on the internet like, oh, my uncle works.
There was multiple people said, yeah, this is happening. But they are putting Xbox Game Pass on the Switch. There's some other functionality that they are putting on there. This is like the stuff of this reminds me there's only been 2 moments in my gaming life that I remember that this is a childhood or playground rumor. I heard Cloud was going to be in Smash. That was one, and that happened.
Yep.
And then 2 was this. Yeah. I heard you could play Xbox. They're going to be Halo on Switch. You know what I mean? That's like a playground rumor.
Yeah.
But it's here, and it's happening. I guess one of the first things, I don't know if you saw this or whatever, was supposed to be Ori.
Yeah,
which was
Ori,
a Microsoft kind of published thing, is going on the Switch, which is a great fit for it, but that's Microsoft. That's not supposed to happen.
I will say this
we're
about...
all fighting.
I will say this about Phil Spencer. He has been saying for years now that he sees Microsoft as a software development company, which that is who they are. They have made Windows operating system for years. So he has always been saying, since he took over, and he fully took over a year ago, we are a software company first. We sell hardware. We care about our hardware, but if we can get our software to as many people as possible, and this move indicates he does believe that. And we'll see if he's proven right or wrong in it. I think Xbox Game Pass numbers, subscriptions have been going up. They are really popular with the younger generation. Kids love it. Everybody at my work has Game Pass for their kids. Their kids are always playing games. They're picking up all these random games. It makes sense in the Netflix streaming atmosphere that we're in. So Xbox might really... This crazy strategy that even a year ago we were like, what are they doing? They're committing hard, because when they took their exclusive and put them on PC, we're like, what the heck are they doing? But now they're putting them on Switch.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't. Now they want to put them on your phone. They want to go.
But
all
what
in.
I noticed was funny about this was 2 things. One, between these 2 things they're about to announce at this E3, one is just a discless streaming thing.
It's just a streaming box.
And then the other is going to be the regular or whatever. Who knows if that even has a disc? I don't know.
I don't know either.
I think things are just so pushing in that direction with phones, and you're just downloading Netflix or whatever.
It's very possible the new Xbox just goes discless. Very possible. It's very possible the new PlayStation does.
I think enough people have internet, that can figure it out now or whatever. I don't know how they'll figure it out, but it's maybe it's time that we push.
Yeah.
I like having physical media. Well, I did read somebody's blog or something the other day was saying that one possible thing, because Blu-ray distribution to do that is kind of expensive.
Yeah.
It's kind of a lot of money.
It's supply chain management. There's a whole lot of money in that.
But one thing that person mentioned was, but you know what actually is cheaper? Flash drives. And it's a lot easier to load a flash drive than it is to write data to a disk.
Yeah.
So one thing that they could do is release physical games, and what it is, you open up and it's a little flash drive and you plug it in. And that's how you get the game
I could see
on the thing. And it's I
could see it, and then there's a license on that flash drive, and
I think that might be how they figure it out. I don't know.
It's a natural evolution. The disc stuff is not, they do not want to do that. They barely convince themselves to do that this generation. They do not want to keep doing that.
So that things are heading in a strange direction. So part 2 of what was weird about this, that I'm thinking about, was that they announced, maybe they'll do this with PlayStation also, but this is coming to Switch, not PlayStation.
Oh yeah, it's not coming to PlayStation.
So it's almost like Nintendo's caught. Well, they have always, since I believe the Wii, they went on their own thing. They said, we're doing our own thing, and they've always been in their own. They're in their own lane. Microsoft and Sony are the juggernauts.
Microsoft has always wanted to be Sony in this space. They've always wanted. They don't want to kill them, but they've always wanted to.
So
be
them coming to Switch is almost like a sticking their tongue out kind of thing.
Well, they've been doing. Did you see? Sony. It was so surreal for me a couple months ago when they did that Play Together, and there was a commercial that had Xbox, Nintendo like logos next to each other. It had kids with Xbox controllers and kids with Switch controllers, and this is where that leads.
Yeah, they
are fully as companies embracing working with one another, and I don't think necessarily Sony should be nervous because Sony has a death grip on the AAA cutting edge console technology. But I mean, this makes Xbox a more of a wild card for sure. That they're willing to just go out, and Xbox would be more than happy to put Game Pass on PlayStation too. But PlayStation will play that game. PlayStation has no interest in playing that game.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe they did approach them, but
I'm sure that they sent a little courtesy email, and I'm sure that Sean Lane went just ignored it, threw it
out with the trash.
We might enter 10 years from now. We might be sitting here saying, "Man, Sony didn't evolve fast enough."
Yeah,
because I don't know that any of this paradigm. These major three parties do not do this. They do not put their entire catalog and what makes their box unique on another person's box. But I think Microsoft says, "Look, Nintendo's doing something, and they're capturing a market share that we're not going to because they're doing a handheld conversion, handheld." So why make that when we could just put it on their box, and we built up a good relationship with them via crossplay, and we put Minecraft on there, and we do, all these things. It's really crazy. But Microsoft's end game is not selling you their box. And he said, we want to keep selling a box because we believe in our hardware division. There's a lot of good people there, and we think we make good boxes. But their end game is they want everybody who likes games to be a Game Pass subscriber.
Yeah, to get that subscription pass, yeah.
Because if they can do that,
they got you locked in, yeah.
They're Netflix.
Yeah, very smart.
So
Microsoft, we crapped on you, but I think you were in the back building a really cool thing.
Yeah. But the flip side of that is if you want to be Netflix, you need Netflix content. So these farts you've been letting out,
and I think they've lined up their studios. They've bought all these studios we saw at the last E3. You know what Microsoft did? There was a period in check out PBS did an awesome Disney documentary, and in it there's a part when Disney kind of gets weird and kind of becomes like a mini hermit, and he starts building trains, and people are like, "What the frick is going on with Disney?" So Microsoft has just put out fart after fart. In our mind, things we're not interested in, just compared to Sony, whatever.
Yeah.
And to the point where it's like, what are they doing? We're all staring at Microsoft making this train, and then I think it was Picasso went over to his house and saw him doing all this train stuff, and he went, "Oh my gosh, he's up to something." And lo and behold, he makes Disneyland out of that. He was building he was coming up with the concept of Disneyland.
I didn't know that story.
Or whatever.
Holy
so
crap.
Picasso, I bet you went into Microsoft and saw them making Crackdown with glue and paperclip, and you're like, what are they doing? Or what's going on in the background? They are building the next gen.
You have to be crazy to do what they're doing. Mm-hmm. You have to actually be crazy,
or you have to have a lot of money like Microsoft that can afford to. I think
Phil Spencer just unlocked the brain of I can do anything. We're Microsoft, we literally are.
Well, I think a part of it was there was always rumors that. There was even rumors over is Microsoft, because that new CEO came on.
And they were not sure Xbox was going to survive.
Yeah, so I think in that they said, well, frick, if we're going to die anyways, let's get dumb next gen. So let's try everything.
So I'm excited. It's like in sports where a team tanks for a while. They're bad, they know they're bad, so they get rid of their players that are decent, but they know they're not going to win them a championship, like Scalebound, you're cut, get out of here. We're not putting any more money into you. They start these crappy players that are no good. The Browns lost, they went 3-33 across 3 seasons. But all of those draft picks you accumulate, those companies you buy up, you slowly start to hedge your bets and you turn it around. And
they might be building the next Disney.
Yeah, they might be.
Microsoft land, Spencer land.
So all that being said, what does it take? And I know there's a lot of unknowns, but wrapping this whole thing up, what does it take for you to buy the Microsoft box if you know you can play the games potentially on the Switch? What does the box need to be? Because it is likely not going to have exclusive games.
If the reason I play on PS4, the reason I have a PS4 is those first party amazing exclusives. If Microsoft is just going to put these games on the Switch, now the thing is, I think
Switch doesn't have the hardware.
I think that they will look better on Microsoft's new next gen system.
Streaming on the Switch.
But if they port these things to the Switch and they're not streaming, I'm still not going to buy an Xbox, but I'll buy your titles. Yeah.
Unless that is the slickest box and it's got a great UI, which God knows they
if
need
it
to
is
work on
if it
that.
is above and beyond, like quality wise better, maybe, but we'll just have to see.
TBD. I'm with you on that. Like let's see. I got a great PC that has the Windows Store on it. I got a Switch. I actually have an Xbox too. I have an Xbox One. I just don't really play it that much. I hate the UI on Xbox. Phil, if you're listening,
oh gosh, yeah,
please.
That is a puzzle.
Whoever did that, whoever's doing that. Man, get him a new role.
People
that UI is
people have issues
unreal.
with the PS4 thing, and I understand it, but man, it's one of my favorite ever because I start it up and whatever I played last is recent, and I just click it. Like that's all I do. I use it for.
Yeah.
Like if I had to do other stuff, maybe some of that stuff's redundant. I've heard people complain about the PS4 UI.
I still think the 360 blades were the best. 360 blades and the PS3.
I loved the blades, but I love starting my PS4 up and hitting X, and I'm on like the thing or whatever. Oh,
I will say the best innovation this gen, as long as we're kind of talking about this gen, the rest button. Putting your PlayStation
I never really used it because I'm an old man and
you turn it off. That and just the I don't see the main menu of games anymore because I'll start the game.
And you'll never turn it off.
I'll just put it in rest mode a lot of times. Or
I did that with my 3DS. I would close it and it suspends it, but I never did with console.
Or just the reality that you can bounce back to the main menu and bounce back in, and it's it keeps you right where you were. I don't think they had that on the 360 generation.
No, they did not. That was something this gen. But that's going to be crazy. This E3 is going to be nuts.
This E3
we won't have a Sony reaction.
Yeah, I feel like this has been the pre-E3, right? Mm-hmm. We just pre-ordered E3.
We pre-ordered E3, got a pre-order bonus. Was a leak.
What else we got for news this month?
We had another announcement kind of thing, was official announcement, which was the Direct happened this month. And the big news from that, they showed more of Yoshi's Crafted World. I'll play it. Me and my wife loved the first one on Wii U, so I'm just ready for that one to come out. I get to that stage when the release date is so close. It's like, stop showing it to me. I'll play it when it comes out.
Yeah.
But the big thing from it, the big thing I cared about, there was other Fire Emblem stuff, whatever. Oh, actually, two things. One was a new Platinum game called
Astral Chain.
I
thought
thought
it looked pretty sweet.
Yeah, you're turning into animals and back or whatever, or robot animals, whatever. Looked pretty cool. Anything from them is fun. And the big enchilada was Link's Awakening.
Yeah.
That's
a big surprise.
Remake. And that was a really big surprise. And once again, we were split. The Zelda fans were split. I was seeing, that looks like trash. And people were like, I love this.
Yeah.
And I was on the camp of, I love this. Because if you go back and look at that original Link's Awakening game, because of the sprites and the way they made it, it's chibi. It's like, it's this weird chibi Link. So what did they do? They just literally remade those graphics. And I love that they did that. It's like, let's just take the Game Boy graphics, you know what I mean, and do that, and it looks awesome.
I think it looks really good. The only thing that caught my eyes looking a little bit weird was at the very end of the trailer, there's like a giant pink, like,
that's the original enemy.
And I'm sure that's what he looks like. He just looked weird. Like, he just looks super weird.
I think everyone's going to be weirded out by that game because Kirby's in it, the Chain Chomps from Mario in it. I believe Luigi's
part of the game
somebody
2D,
that looks like Mario.
Is part of the game like side-scrolling 2D? Because there's a part where he's like side-scrolling 2D.
Yes, and they kept that in this remake. I saw it or whatever. That goes when you go down into like pits or whatever, down into like, you know how you can fall in pits in like Ocarina of Time.
Yeah,
I think that's when you do it. Yeah,
it goes like
it goes into side-scrolling or whatever. But I love that they kept all that. But looked fun.
I'm all in. That game, I'll buy it day one. I never played Link's Awakening. It's one I've wanted to play. A friend of the show, Kenny, has always said that's one of his favorites.
I played it for the first time only just a handful of years ago, and I really liked it a lot.
Yeah, I honestly, though, I've never been a 2D Zelda guy. Mm-hmm. I've always been a 3D Zelda guy. I've only beaten, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, and Breath of the Wild. I played a little bit of A Link to the Past and a little bit of the first Zelda, and that's it. So whenever I see 2D Zelda, I'm always like, yeah. I don't know. Like, it's never clicked with me. The gameplay's never clicked. The gameplay loop, the flow. I've never completed a dungeon in a 2D Zelda. To me, Zelda, in my mind, is a 3D series, which is not true. It is a 2D series. It started. But in my mind, and that's just a testament to how good Ocarina of Time is and the precedent it set of it's so good in 3D. So it's always been kind of weird for me. I've never played those.
You should check out Link to the Past, at least.
Yeah, I've got it. I should. I would love to play it on my Switch.
Because I think it has just some amazing moments in it. It was really crazy for its time. And...
Yeah. But I will play Link to the Past. I have my eyes on A Link Between Worlds, but I would also like to play that if they put it on the Switch.
Maybe they will.
There's a lot of things on the 3DS.
Maybe Bowser will hook us up.
Bowser. We would love some... I don't know. EA doesn't really
Stop
do ports.
kidnapping Peach port this.
EA doesn't do remasters, so he's probably looking at this Zelda thing like, what are we doing?
Can we cancel this? What is this Federation Force? Let's make a sequel to that.
Where's the multiplayer?
Speaking of Mario and Nintendo, this is the first time this ever happened. A video game went, in collecting wise or whatever, went for triple digits. Or no. 6 digits. Figures.
Is
Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers sealed copy went for $100,000.
So
when
you mean just a game has never gone for that much?
Yes. Yeah.
But not
no game has ever sold. Game has ever sold for an
auction. But you're not talking about consoles and stuff or collector's items.
I'm just talking about a game.
That's interesting to me. One, Super Mario Brothers wouldn't be in my mind the most rare game.
It's not.
So that's weird to me on that level. But two, I'm kind of surprised.
It's not. But what happened was I was reading up on it because I was.
You have a sealed copy of that game?
No. I have a copy, but here's the thing. This is something I didn't know. When they first put it out, little history for this. When they first put out Mario Brothers, they did a pre-launch of that game in New York and LA at their Nintendo stores or whatever they had in New York, whatever. And that had a certain box on it. Well, when they released it, nationwide, it had a different printing. It was a second printing basically of this game. So to have that first printing and to have it sealed is impossible. Yeah. And the quality of
somebody bought that thing the day they were selling it at that Nintendo store and didn't open it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the quality on it was unreal, and when they took it to go get it, because you take these games to get graded, and they put them in these vacuum or plastic cases they used to have at Best Buy or whatever in games, but they put it in that and they grade them on a scale, and they were this is one of the most perfect it was up there on quality. We couldn't believe when I saw this. They were I think this will go for $100,000, whatever.
Wow.
So what happened was this guy's had it for years and years and years, and he said, "I will not take less than $100,000 for this."
Wow, good for him.
So other people had offered him. He's I know people had offered him 50, 60, in that range.
But he knew.
And he said, "No, I'm gonna hold out till 100." And he held out and he got it.
Wow.
But good for that guy. But I don't even know how he came across that. But
that's unreal.
But man, to have that as what they were saying was gaming is now at the stage where, they were saying, it's this is the most rare. You can get other people have other you can get this same copy or whatever. It won't be as good quality or whatever, but it's it's not the most rare. There's other games that might be rarer, but it comes down to what the value culturally is. And they said now we are at with gaming that if someone was to put freaking Charlie Chaplin's jacket or whatever, it's going to go, you know what I mean? An original.
That makes sense.
Or a real film. We're finally at that stage where it's oh my gosh,
nobody cares.
The first big video game, first nationwide ginormous Mickey Mouse moment, which was Mario Brothers. Yeah, that is culturally
it's impactful. Not just about how many of these things are there, it's about how many of these things are there plus the cultural relevance.
Yeah, what's the impact, someday someone's gonna oh, you have a freaking sealed copy of Halo 2 that survived, something like that. But I think it's even more rare and harder because back then stuff wasn't produced as it is now. Yeah. Some of the stuff might.
Well, also, if I'm not mistaken,
and it's harder to keep cartridges.
Nobody at the time thought that Nintendo was going to be anything.
Sure. Yeah.
People, that box, they attached Rob the Robot to that box because nobody wanted the box. Nobody wanted a game console. Nobody knew Mario was going to be Mario. Nobody knew, so the fact that somebody bought that and then didn't open a day of to try the stupid thing out and had the foresight to put it in a box somewhere.
Yeah.
You almost wonder if they bought it and went home and died. And then it sat in their closet. And
I can't wait to play
it. Their kids came and got it. And it was in their garage for 8 years. And, freakish stuff has to happen like that. For something to get bought in such a... I mean, who the heck's going and buying that thing, and not opening it?
When I
don't know.
So it's been a couple of years. I've stopped collecting games. Like if I see something out at a yard sale or whatever, I'll still pick it up. But I kind of started the channel in that kind of thing. Yeah. Like I did
You've got a lot of videos you're going through your whole collection.
Yeah, I did collection stuff, and I'm not against doing that in the future. But that was mainly what I did with the channel. But one thing, it is the fun collecting and stuff. It's so fun to find stuff like that too. But there was one time I went to a yard sale, and I think I even have a video back in the day about it. Went into this yard sale, had a bin. I looked in the bin, boxed NES games, tons of them. And I said, "Hey, I'm into games or whatever. How much you want for them?" And they said, "You know what? Let's do $2 a piece. Let's just say $20 for the thing. Does that sound fair?" And I said, and I was shaking. I got that feeling oh my gosh, because you know what you have, and you go, that sounds fair or whatever. And the funnest part was, I think she even said, the funnest part is to get greedy. She said, well, I don't think I did then, but there was another, I found Michael Jackson's Moonwalker thing, and that was more of a more expensive game. And they said, how about I got 4 on or something. I was like, will you take 2? And I already knew I was getting a great deal on it and stuff, but it's always, you start to shake inside of you. Oh, man. It's such a good feeling to do that. So I got back on the NES, box thing, some of those, multiple of those were worth 50, plus, because they had the box, they had the manual in them.
If you're selling great condition, just Google it. If you're selling
some people don't know. Some people don't know.
Yeah, just Google it.
More people are aware, because when I started, it got harder.
It got harder over time.
That next year and stuff. Now game collecting, you can't. I stopped at the time. I was trying to collect Super Nintendo games. I quit. I got Metroid. I got Link to the Past, and I was out because it was so expensive. Because the market now is just you can't even. Yeah. It's so expensive, but I had a fun time doing all that, but not going to get this 100,000 Mario Brothers anytime soon.
One of the things, and this takes us back to a little bit of what we were talking about with consoles, I would go full digital. I love the boxes and stuff, but I would go full digital and embrace that fully if I had some kind of an understanding with these companies that those purchases are going to carry forward.
Yes. But I was thinking about that today.
Because I buy, on Steam, I buy everything digital. I would never buy a physical PC game because I trust Valve. Yeah. And I know that is there, and I can install those games whenever I want. And
if they ever go down, I know there's how many things have been hacked in this world. Yep. Somebody will hack a thing. It's boom, you get all your games.
But
you can
Nintendo, and I buy all of my big Switch games physical, but these smaller indie titles, if I buy them digital, and I just kind of say, it's tied to this box. Yeah. And I don't trust Nintendo at all. I don't trust Sony much, although that's another thing's been rumored, is that they're patenting but people patent stuff all the time and don't use it. That is one area where I do trust Xbox. Oddly enough. Strangely enough.
Oh, yeah, because they did a great job. That was the one good thing
they did with Xbox One. If only we could combine that with, one of the people who actually has games.
You can't have your cake and eat it, too. But I was thinking about that a lot today, because I was rearranging stuff in this room, and I was like, man, I would love to go digital, but it's I don't trust them.
If you could trust them, and there was a legacy library with Nintendo, and you could own all of that stuff.
If I had that
and
stuff,
it was guaranteed you had it, best versions.
Because Sony did, even though they were not good, it's why can't I freaking play my PS1? Why can't I stick a PS1 or a PS2 disc in there? Nutso. One thing, though, that they did, and it's man, you have the potential, is games like Flower, and there was one other one, Unfinished One, I think was another one. They ported it, and if I already had bought it on PS3, and they let me have the remastered version, and I didn't have to pay anything, and it was
that happened with Journey.
Oh shoot, a Journey too, and it's you had the potential to they might not do that for every game, but it's like, look at Xbox One X. They didn't have to really do much, and they ported that stuff, and it's already up-resed. When you play Red Dead or whatever, it's up-resed to 4K, or any of these games, 4K, and it's like, Sony got to figure it out.
Yeah.
So if they do that next gen, I wouldn't be... If they said, okay, PS4 all compatible and going forward, like, because if they get it on the same chip, or I don't know how all that works or whatever, please, like,
the real wild card's the PS3 stuff.
Yeah, I'd definitely be game if they start doing the flash drive thing, and they've already taken manuals out, and it's like,
there's nothing to the box
I'm
anymore.
almost buying like, but I still like physical. It's hard.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm stuck. I'm always stuck. But on games, what did you play this month?
It was pretty active month. The first thing I did want to talk about, though, because I don't think we got a chance to talk, I don't know if you shared anything about it on the podcast last time, was the Dreams Creator Beta. Real quick.
I didn't because I think it was under...
but now it's not under NDA or anything. So that was something I played this month.
Yeah, we have not talked about that at all.
But what were your thoughts on that? That's something I've really been looking forward to.
I have... Media Molecule, they made Little Big Planet. And I loved Little Big Planet 1. And it had some crazy build-your-own level stuff. So that's the same people that are making Dreams. And this one, it's funny. It is absolutely bonkers, the things you can create. It was already bonkers what people were able to make in a limited sense in Little Big Planet. You can make crazy things, but it was always side-scrollers.
Yeah.
And people found out how to make a first-person shooter in it with a side-scrolling engine. Like, absolutely bonkers thing with a limited set. So now Dreams is like, what if we gave you extreme levels of openness? And that's what they've done. Man, some of the stuff I was playing and some of the stuff I retweeted on our Twitter, I went, I was just shocked at somebody's like, yeah, this new game that I'm making is totally made in the Dreams engine.
Yeah.
And I was like, freaking how? Like, how did you make this thing look so good and look like the freedom is the sky's the limit with this thing. It's unbelievable. But one other thing about this was it was funny how much it kind of still reminded me of Little Big Planet, because in the hub like world, when you have your little like cone thing that runs around, the cone guy or whatever, or you inhabit the cone thing, the spirit inhabits things or whatever. That picking up the stickers and the parts and stuff, and in levels you can actually pick up like parts. I don't know if you did that. Sometimes the level creators, did you do a lot of the...
I did a couple of... I was extremely busy at the time that this beta was running, so I didn't do as much as I wanted to, but I did the first 10 or so tutorials.
Okay.
Which, by the way, I'll share impressions of the
so you can get... Sometimes the level creators will go, hey, if you get to the level, whatever... You'll unlock, I'll give you the model I created, because people create the game models, either the characters or
like you make a dragon
or a ramp in the level or some part or a tree they made. You'll get that or whatever, and they give those things away as like an unlockable, which is something from Little Big Planet did that. So when I was playing, I was just like, this is just like it's more like Little Big Planet, because when they first showed this game, I went, how do you play this game? What is this?
Yeah.
But I'm in. It looked crazy, but now that I'm seeing what it is, it's like, oh, this is very much a spiritual successor to Little Big Planet without the Sackboy. They're just letting you do extremely anything. Like, it's going out there with the amount of things you can do.
I really didn't play Little Big Planet, but this game's had my attention for a while. Just as someone who... I just really like the idea. I watched a video with them where they talked about how, as kids, if you played games on computers... you felt like you could make a game because you could mod stuff, you could mess around with stuff. But they were like, our company is full of people who grew up playing games on consoles, but that was always walled off. Like they felt like they couldn't do that. So their goal was to allow that and to allow you to feel like you can own a PlayStation and you can learn how to make games. And I think that they have nailed that 100%. And I did, like I said, I did the first 10 sets of some of the tutorials, which is not as much as it sounds like. The first tutorial is like 10 little tutorials inside of it. The tutorials are set up really well. And just as I started to use the tools, just like basic things like placing an object, moving it around, it's very intuitive. I do think that if I could use a mouse, I might be more inclined to make more things. But even just the little bit I played, and the way they teach you, like they have a video that plays while you're doing something, and you can like skip forward in the video or backward. It's very intuitive. It's not cumbersome as it might sound.
They also added you're kind of... I didn't, to be fair, I didn't get around to creating anything, making anything. I just played other people's creations, but it looked, from what I was reading online, it was very intuitive the way you actually make the stuff. And even in the main thing, you're using the controller is like a gyro mouse kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's where the mouse thing isn't even so much for the being able to aim. It's more just, it's more efficient just to click than it is to pull triggers and stuff. But it was very efficient doing this and moving things around.
But the music creator in that is absolutely bonkers.
I didn't get to that. I wanted to get to that.
I saw a demonstration of that when they did at E3 or some event, and I was, wow.
Yeah, I was thinking it'd be fun to get in there and make some music, because that's something I can feel comfortable getting up to speed to and putting out there for people. I love that concept of, if you're a really good modeler, you make really good models, if you're a good animator, if you're a good music, the more you do those things, and then you can give those things to other people, and then you level up in that discipline. And then when somebody's making a platformer, let's say, and they know nothing about music, they can search like, okay, who are level 10 music people and above? And they can message all those people and say, hey, will you make some music? Or listen to them and say, hey, would you make some music for my game? And then you go in, and it's all collaborative. Everything's built around, figure out, if you're going to create, figure out your discipline and get...
It's the hit record.
It's the hit record.
But it's actually...
Except you're not working on Beyond Good and Evil 2, making posters on the buildings. You're
and being paid $0 an hour.
Yeah. And so, to me, that... I don't know anything about animation or level design, all these things, but I do know music. So part of me is like, I'd love to get in there and make some music and see if anybody wants to use it, and, that kind of a thing.
What was the coolest thing you played?
So, okay, I was going to say that. So when you first open it up and you first start dream surfing, like the first 20 things are like, I think everybody saw those things. It's like that first person shooter. There's like one guy who's like, here's an art, just like a visual thing showing how you can make Dark Souls.
Those are kind of cool too.
Those are cool. Those are really impressive. But as I dug to some of the deeper stuff, like I found like a cool rocket ship game where you're flying around and stuff. But I found a game, I think it's called like Golden Valley. And this took me back to like the Flash games. Back in middle school, did you ever get on computer? Addictinggames.com.
Yeah.
And you'd find like a game and you'd be like, oh, this game's cool. And then you click and you're like, oh, there's a sequel, like immediately. Yeah. And like, oh, I'll play the sequel. And then, oh, there's a third game. And you click. And so I had an experience like that where I found a game called Golden Valley or something like that. I was like, oh, okay, it's a puzzle game. That sounds cool. So I open it up, and it's like a walking sim. I'm walking around, and there's like this weird obelisk in the middle, and then it goes off in 3 directions, kind of like Myst, honestly. And I was like, ooh, okay. So I went in here, and it was a puzzle I couldn't solve. I went in here, I solved it. Went in here, I solved it. Went in here, I solved it. And the obelisk goes up. And then I go down the hole under the obelisk, and there's like a chest, and you open it up, and it's the end of the game. Like, that was a cool little puzzle game. But as soon as I finished it, it said, click here to play Golden Valley 2. And I was like, there's a sequel. Like, this is awesome. So I clicked that, and that was the same concept of there was a hub area with 4 puzzles, but then I went in the areas, and this game was a complete spiritual successor to the Talos Principle. And the Talos Principle, you walk into these areas, and you walk through like a little like invisibility gate that just kind of like enters you in an area, and then some text will pop up with like a name for the puzzle, and then there'll be these objects, and so the sequel was more physics based, whereas the first one was more logic, and you're pressing things. And I was just like, man, like I'm getting to see this person. They made a very simple logic puzzle game, and then they turned around and made a sequel and made like a more physics puzzle game that's very inspired by Talos Principle, had a very atmospheric. Yeah. And I was just like, this is freaking awesome. And I solved the last puzzle, which one of the cool things in Talos Principle is, so imagine like you've got an area and you've got 4 different puzzle areas. Well, you'll encounter something in one of the puzzle areas that's like, I can't solve this, I don't know how. And in Talos Principle, one of the tricks you discover is that you can actually find ways to pull things out of certain puzzle areas and like throw them over a wall. And then you can get them into the other puzzle area that you need. And this guy set up a thing like that for the final puzzle. And so that was the coolest thing I played. Was somebody was really I could see their influences, but they were doing something really different. And I was like, I feel like I'm playing free DLC to Talos Principle, but it's like a different art style, and somebody's just doing their own thing with it. So
I played Ocarina of Time, Kokiri Forest.
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
It was so weird to see this, like, I love seeing the characters they create as this weird, fricked up Link.
Oh, yeah.
But they had the music, and I was just, like, cracking up. I said, wow, if you can make, like, all this stuff. Someone made Dead Space, I think, like a Dead Space thing. And
I played the PT recreation.
Yeah, that was nuts.
That was really good.
That was crazy.
They did a great job.
But yeah, Dreams.
So did you hear that they announced the creator you can buy for $29.99? You can buy the creator game. So the game will launch $60 later, but if you spend $29.99, you can buy the creator game, and it's digital only, and it starts this spring. And if you buy that, when the game comes out, your copy is a full game.
Okay.
So you can buy it for half early and make stuff. And I think that they want people to make stuff over the spring and summer, ready. So that when it launches, there's content. So basically, you can buy it early for half off. It's digital only, though, and it doesn't come with, like, the $60 game. When the $60 game comes out, you'll get, like, all the other stuff. But so
that's a cool idea.
It's an interesting model. You can buy it for half off early, but there won't be anything, and then later it'll be $60, and they'll release their campaign that they made. And so I think that's fair. I think that makes sense.
It entices people to create stuff on there.
Yeah, so that's Dreams. I had a good time with it. Other games I played this month. I played, and I'm including some stuff. I'm not including everything I've played this month. I'm including everything I beat between last month and this month because the government was shut down. Yeah, I beat Celeste. First time I ever talked about it on here, I think.
I think it is.
Celeste is pretty good. Pretty good.
Pretty good.
I like Meat Boy better because that's the game that always gets compared to Celeste. Celeste is fun. I like the music. I like the game. I really thought that the stages had really good atmosphere. They were all very individualized. They definitely each had their own mechanics, which I thought had good parts and bad parts. Level design, I felt it was restrictive exploring. And part of the reason was as opposed to Meat Boy, where it's like, here's a level, and you go through it, and you can die as many times as you want, and you go through it. This was similar in that you can die as many times as you want, but when you enter a room in that game, you can't back out. So when you're exploring, if you enter a room, and it's like a room you don't want to be in, like sometimes you jump up over the platform, you can't get out. And so it felt like you didn't have free range of exploration. Like you can't peek your head up here and then go back down here. It would flow you up, and then you couldn't go back.
I think the reason for that was the whole design, because each screen was a Super Meat Boy level. Where correct me if I'm wrong, Super Meat Boy, you would be correct. You would just be in one area. You wouldn't go to a different.
But let's say you're in this area and you can do a strawberry this way. You don't know what's over here, but you can see you can jump up. Well, let's say I want to do that strawberry maybe, but I want to see what's up here. You jump up here and you can't go back down. You can't get that strawberry now. You're just blocked. And I thought it was needlessly... I feel like carve out what is the main path and make it clear, but don't make it to where you can't go back if you don't want to.
Yeah, I think because some of those like jumping... They're all jumping puzzles that get to figure out, how do I jump this? How do I... When do I use this? I think some of those put you in an area that if you did drop back down, you would just die, and then you would just end up back there.
No, this isn't that. This isn't the first level. I'm talking, you're on a platform... There's a path up here. You jump up here, and then you can't go back down. There's no reason why
for those,
And that happened enough that I felt like, am I incentivized to explore or not? I don't know.
I see.
So very early on, I just stopped doing strawberries. One, because some of them, they were hit and miss of how fun they were to get, which I did think the payoff of what the strawberries give you, I thought was funny, even though I didn't get a ton of them.
I didn't collect them all, but I collected a lot. But I saw that...
I thought it was funny how they played into like a little bit at the end of like, ooh, you got all these strawberries, you know? Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, these are kind of fun. Maybe I'll go back. And I saw that in order to get like 100% the game or whatever, sometimes I'll go back that if I really enjoyed Celeste, I wanted to. But it's like, oh... to get a golden thing, I don't know what it was, like to 100% the level. Oh, you have to... I went back and got all the strawberries in the first like level because I was like, I only need like 4 more on that one. Went back and got it. Came back out and was like, how do I get that? And I looked it up online and it said, oh, you have to get all the strawberries in one run. And I said, no. I was just like, I just won't get it.
Yep.
So I didn't. I wish that I could have just got that and that would have been 100%. But...
And you know why? You know why that is? Why that would feel like that's impossible for me? I can't.
Because you can't go back on the.
No, well yeah. Well, that makes that problem even worse because you really have to. Okay, here's the thing. In Super Meat Boy, why I think it's a superior platformer, and really a lot of games. This is how I feel. We have an analog stick that can go 360 degrees. Okay, and even if you're using a D-pad, you can lean on the D-pad in different ways, right? In Super Meat Boy, your character has the ability to go on a full range, right? 360 degrees. If you point your stick here, press A, you'll jump into those different... And you can carry your momentum and stuff, but that's a whole other... It's different mechanics. With Celeste, your character is hard set to go straight right, straight up, or directly 45-degree diagonal. And when you're in hectic platforming situations, like, I don't know if there's saws or, sticky things or pointy things, and you're grabbing a platform, you're falling, you're grabbing another one, then you're jumping up, and then you're riding it, and then you're moving it down, and all these things. I found I died so many times, not because I didn't point to the right angle, but because... I just barely missed.
Well, full disclosure, I think I think we talked about this. You were using the D-pad on the 360 controller, I think.
No, or
the analog stick.
I had an Xbox One controller, and I switched between both the D-pad and the analog stick, and neither one.
Okay.
Which I played Super Meat Boy on analog stick and D-pad, had no problems. It doesn't really matter, but no matter which way you aim, I ended up switching to D-pad. I tried both, which it doesn't have the best D-pad, but at the end of the day, I found myself so frustrated with, regardless of what tool I was using, the way the game flow is set up that you have to nail. It almost felt like a fighting game where you have to nail these inputs. I didn't feel like I was guiding the character. I felt like I was freaking struggling with the controller to nail the inputs. It's not my kind of platformer.
Sure.
I like where you are one with the controller and you're just flowing with the character, and it's more of a flow thing.
Yeah, you like more free
You're flowing,
yeah.
You're grabbing, you're jumping, you're grabbing. Yeah. And in this, it was like boom, boom, boom. Like I kept having to figure out the exact angle to hit along with A. Whereas on Meat Boy, you're just kind of always on that D-pad. You're riding that thing or you're riding that stick, and you're just kind of flowing in and out of what you need to do.
More free motion.
Yeah, more free motion. And I felt the game was so restrictive that I never was able to fully jive with it and just have fun. I kept hitting parts. There were parts where I had a really good time, but I just kept hitting sections where it was like, I'm dying over and over, but not in the fun way of Meat Boy. Like, well, man, this is crazy. I can't get through all these saws. It was like, I'm going to literally light myself on fire because this guy is chasing me. I have to go down, angle, up, angle, like I have to do it and then wait for this thing to come. And then I got to perfectly press A right as I'm coming up off of this balloon. And it was
it's funny because I had a different experience. I like the free motion of Super Meat Boy and floating and physics and what I mean, like that. But I loved getting and seeing a strawberry and going to the point where I was like, can I return the level with a new ability? But then find out like this is all I get. But like then seeing going, okay, I can get these strawberries at any time. And then going, there's no way to get the strawberry. There's no way. And then sitting there, and I loved, even though I didn't get them all, I sat at every strawberry and went, I'm going to get that. And I'm like, messing with it, dying, messing with it, dying. And I used the Switch Pro controller, and I loved that D-pad was so accurate that I would go, like, I loved knowing, like, there is a way to get that. Okay, dash here. Can I use my dash here? Get on the wall. Okay, I get one back there.
Was cool.
I loved, like, okay, like, in your head, almost solving a jump puzzle of, like, if I go here, use the jump. Okay, if I land here, I get one back. I got to quickly jump there. And, like, working all that in my head was so much freaking fun to me that I fell in love with that. But I also loved Super Meat Boy, but there was something about getting the strawberries and that jumping mechanic and like and figuring all that puzzle in mid jump was just so fun. But
can I share with
I liked them both.
Can I share with my weirdest nitpick about this game?
Yeah.
Weirdest nitpick, but it bothered me so much.
What?
And either validate this or tell me I'm stupid. Either one. I love the art style of the gameplay. But this game had a weird thing where it had 3 different art styles for no reason. It had the gameplay, pixel art. But then it had like the portraits, which were like this other cartoony style, which I didn't really like, but okay. But then in the menu, when you're navigating the
world map is 3D.
It's like 3D. And I'm just like, pick an aesthetic. Pick one. Like, it bothered me.
I thought it was cool.
I thought it was the dumbest thing. I don't know, man. I don't know. That's okay. That's a total preference thing. It's just a subjective. But I was just like, what? I felt so visually confused.
When I was streaming, I said the sequel is going to be you're in 3D and the world map's going to be 2D.
Might be better.
It's going to be flipped.
Might be better.
That's going to be flipped.
So, all that means I've said all I really have to say about Celeste. I think it's a fun game. I think it's cool that a lot of people really liked it. It wouldn't have been on my Game of the Year list last year, but I understand why other people connected with it more.
Yeah.
So it was fun. God of War, I beat it. I beat God of War. If you watch podcasts, you know I played it a lot last year, but never beat it. Finished it. That game really ramps up in the back third. We talked about this.
I like that second half better than the first half.
Yeah, almost like they should have ramped up a little earlier. I just feel like the first, it opens strong, and then you find the lake, and you're going around the lake, but then you start going into the realms, and like first realm's like, okay, this is cool. There's like some elves, and second realm, okay, this is okay, and it's just like, it feels like it drags in the middle, and you're, okay, we're here now, okay. Nothing's really happening with the son. Like, he's just kind of innocent and kind of goofy, and you're just Kratos, and you're just going around. And it just seems like it doesn't go anywhere, but then it ramps up hard when the son starts to feel sick, and then you get an awesome, I mean, if you haven't played the game, I won't get too much into it. It's worth playing, but... there's a new gameplay mechanic that comes in the back third, and
that should have been there. Maybe
maybe
the first fourth.
40% in. You know what I mean? It should have been there earlier.
I would even give them 25% into the game. They should have had.
So overall, I really like that game. I thought the ending was really good. It really had me engaged all the way through. The really awesome, big, set pieces and stuff.
Yeah,
I will say some of it got a little Destiny-ish in terms of I felt like I fought the same high-level boss, like not the big like set-piece bosses, but like
the trolls.
There was like these trolls with the big thing, and then there was the trolls like that ran at you, and I felt like I fought them the same, like, and they had different names, but I felt like I fought the same dudes like maybe 50 times, and so I got a little bit of like, okay, And it's not a major issue because the gameplay was fun, and they mix it up with elementals to where like you should use this weapon for these guys and this weapon for these guys. But overall, good game. Would have probably made my top 3 list last year. It probably would have knocked off, one of my. I don't know. It would have been right there with Spider-Man. That's tough now that I'm more removed from Spider-Man, but really good game. Yeah, really good game. Did you have any other thoughts about God of War?
I agree. Everything you said, I agree with.
Yeah. So I'm down for another one. It's I almost put it right there, a little bit below like a Horizon Zero Dawn. Awesome game. Definitely not making my top 5 of this gen, but like really awesome game. Liked it a lot. Yeah, but it could have been better in the middle. Okay, Hollow Knight. I don't think I've talked about this at all on the podcast, have I?
I don't know if you have. Yeah.
Hollow Knight. I beat Hollow Knight, so I have had that game also for a while. I spent a lot of time this month kind of just cleaning up old games I needed to finish out. Hollow Knight was my first ever, if you don't know the game, you play as a bug, and it's like a Metroidvania type thing. So you run around, you go down into the earth, and there's all these different areas, and you get abilities, and you clear bosses. Beautiful art style. I don't think if you've heard of the game or you've ever seen it before, you're aware of that. And what made me want to pick it up was I have a buddy who's really into Metroidvanias, and he's like, this is the one to get. This game looks awesome. So I bought it, and I thought the art style looked cool, and I got into it. Full disclosure, I'm not a big 2D combat guy. Even kind of the Zelda comparison we talked about earlier, I really started gaming a lot. I started on the Game Boy Advance, but I played more like Yu-Gi-Oh games and Pokemon games, not really action-oriented stuff. I wasn't playing Mega Man on my Game Boy like a lot of kids. But my action games really started in 3D, so I've always had a weird relationship with 2D action games. Like Super Meat Boy was the first 2D platformer game that I really got into. And so with Hollow Knight, it was really the first time I sat down and said, I'm going to learn this 2D action game and I'm going to get good at it. And that game is hard. It is a really hard game.
That's what I hear.
It's very difficult. It's not like Dark Souls grueling hard. It's not like, like Loving to Punish you hard, but it's difficult. And especially if you're not good at fighting bosses in 2D, like there's just, if you touch a boss, it hurts you. And taking damage in the game is pretty serious. You get maybe 4 or 5 health vials, and if you get hit, it's a health vial. Mm-hmm. So it's really tricky, and I had to learn how to navigate in a space, because in 3D games, when you touch a boss, you don't necessarily die or get hurt. It just kind of clips through you or whatever. So I had to kill some bad habits as far as hugging up on bosses and just going crazy on them. After playing Bloodborne, it was a totally different way to approach a game. But I ended up really liking it. The world is huge, and the areas are so diverse and interesting. If you've never played a Metroidvania, I might say play one of the classic ones first, because this was my first one, and it is really hard in those opening hours when you have no power-ups to stay engaged, because you're I can jump and I can swing this little dinky sword. And
that's the best part about, you said this one's really hard though, so maybe not, but that's my favorite part of Metroidvanias is you're so weak at the beginning and everything will kill you, and it's pretty difficult to do I go here? Oh, no, that enemy killed me in one hit. Okay, let's go over here. But the best part is towards the end when you have all these abilities, you're like a god in the game, and you're like, but maybe that's not like this.
I would probably say this, I will say, of all the games I've ever played, this game has a very steady difficulty curve.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. It just has a couple spikes, which are optional bosses. None of the main bosses made me want to just off myself.
Yeah.
It was just a couple side ones that really I did not have to fight. They weren't even in my way or anything. I just really. One of the ones that really gave me a lot of trouble is there's a boss called the Hornet, and she is a story boss. And then later in the game, you find a side area and you can fight her again. And I was like, I want to fight her again. This is a cool setting. And I lost my mind because she has 80 times the health she does the first time, and she can throw out these spikes everywhere that just they populate all over the map. And if you touch them, you take damage. And I just was losing my mind fighting this chick. I fought her for 3 days straight, and I was texting in our group chat F Hollow Knight. But in the end, I really enjoyed the game. It was one when I was wrapping it up. We talked about 100% in games the other day. And I don't 100% a lot of games, but I did see I'm at 78, and I was like, I know which side quests I need to do, and I know which boss I need to do. I might go back to that one when I clear out more of my backlog. It's one that I want to go back and play more of. You do feel like you gain so many abilities and so many, new. The charms play a big deal in that game. So you collect these charms, and you have these notches that you can fill up with charms, and different charms take up 1 slot or 2 slots or 3 slots. But these charms, one will make your nail longer, one will make your nail attack faster, one will allow you to, have more iframes. And so there's 30 of these charms. So you can mix and match them. If you're exploring, you maybe want the one that makes you run faster, and the one that when you kill people, it makes all the currency gather up to you.
Yeah.
But when you're not exploring, you don't need that. So you drop that one out, and you swap them out at benches, which are your bonfires. So it adds some new things to the whole kind of formula of the Souls Metroidvania style. So I really recommend it. I really think you should play that game as someone who's played almost every Castlevania game ever made now at this point.
I'm almost the whole series.
I would highly recommend it to you. I think you'd really enjoy it. I think you'd really enjoy it. I don't know. I got really, other than that, the only other games I played were Tetris Effect, which I beat as well. It's Tetris. VR Tetris. I played Tetris 99.
It's Tetris.
It's really cool. It's really fun. But if you got a Switch, Tetris 99 is free if you've got the Switch online. I really liked it.
I'll have to check that out.
It's fun. It's very bare bones. You open it up and you just press play and you just play. And there's no training mode, so if you want to really try to win, you probably should look up online a little bit about how the attack mechanics and stuff
They didn't include a manual in that one.
Yeah. Last game I played is Wargroove, which is brand new. I'm really early into the game. I'll share more thoughts probably next time. But Wargroove is like a strategy game. It's on the Switch, and it's got like an anime kind of intro and style, but then you get into the game and it's like top-down tactics, kind of like, that style, almost like a Fire Emblem or Advance Wars, kind of more like that style. It's really fun. It's extremely hard. So I'm in like the early matches, just getting my butt absolutely handed to me. So I'll probably share some more thoughts on that in the future. But that was a game that came out this month, and if you're into strategy games, Wargroove is an interesting one that just launched on Switch and PC.
Wargroove, cool. Well, keeping with the war, how about the Keyblade War? Have you thought about that yet? Kingdom Hearts 3 is here.
Yeah.
And it's weird. It's weird that it's here, and it's weird that I have not beaten it yet.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've had that thing for a while.
I've not beaten it yet, and I really like what I've played. I have played up to... I don't even feel bad. I can say the worlds because they showed every freaking thing before the game came out, but I'm at the Frozen world. Now, I just got there. I literally have done nothing, but I've played Monster Inc., Toy Story, and Rapunzel's, or Tangled world. But I really like it. One thing that's different is in the past Kingdom Hearts games, they had more worlds than this one. This one has the least of any of the worlds.
Really?
But each world, you would do something, whatever, and you're out. And you're next to the other world, and you just go. This one, the worlds are more, there's more care put in its quality over quantity.
Gotcha.
With this game, which I really love. Yeah. For a Kingdom Hearts game, it's like, I've been in this world for a while.
It kind of makes sense because the render, like the cost to produce an area these days is so much more. So it makes sense that they'd be like, let's just really focus on a few.
Yeah, and it feels better just to go more into the world and have more, fun stuff going on, and each world feels like I'm doing cool stuff. Like they're changing up one world. I'll wait till a full thing to talk about once I'm done. But in the Toy Store world, you're like in mechs. They give you you're in this toy place or whatever, and you can get in the toy mechs, and you basically it turns into Titanfall. You can punch, you can shoot in that thing. Oh
my gosh!
And you can either choose not to have that and fight regular, or jump in those things, and you can fight as Donald and Goofy are fighting, and you're in these mechs and stuff. So much freaking fun. So,
can I ask you a question about these worlds?
It's some of my favorites.
I want to ask you a question. I know that they had said a year ago they announced all the worlds.
Yes.
And you were kind of bummed about that.
Yeah.
But now that you're seeing how deep they are, does that kind of offset some of that?
That, and I forgot about some of the worlds that got announced.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I had kept away from some of that to the point where it's I had seen all these, but it's oh yeah, Frozen is in this or whatever, and I was cool, that would be cool just to explore this. So gameplay wise, this is my maybe my favorite so far of the games. I think the stuff they have you doing, the special abilities in this are so freaking fun. There was a part. It was in one of the early, one of the very first things they showed was a fight with one of the bosses from Olympus, from Hercules' world. And they showed it, and I was like, wow, that is not going to be how it is in the final game, because it was just so nutso.
Yeah.
It is pretty one-for-one how it is in the game, and I was having a blast. I was smiling ear to ear. I was like, this is really freaking cool. And the special abilities, so much freaking fun to do. It's basically you... there's different things you can do, in the other games. You would just join up with Goofy or do these kind of combo moves. In this one, the moves are like Disneyland rides. So you get in a giant pirate ship. You know the pirate ship at fairs and stuff? Yeah. It goes in that, and you start attacking with that. You press X to swing it, and you can swing and attack. There's teacups you can get in, and there's a bubble shooter thing you jump in. It's so goofy, and it just I'm having a blast with it. But I've not got around to playing any more of it. But I'm at the Frozen world. But I'll probably have more say as well next podcast.
Yeah, I'm glad you're really enjoying it. You've waited a long time for that game.
Oh, one other thing about that though, I'm glad you reminded me with that. As I'm playing this, there is really cool things, and I'm it's so cool to see certain things they're bringing back or talking about. It almost feels like too little too late at times with this game. If this would have came out, this was announced in 2013 or maybe 2015. And so much time has passed. It's 13 years since the last console, Kingdom Hearts. If this would have came out in 2013, I think I would have been even more excited and more receptive towards it. But as I'm playing it now, I can't shake the feeling of, why did this take so long?
Yeah.
Like, I think I would have been more excited. Not to say that I'm not having a good time, but I think my excitement kind of dwindled a little bit.
You're in a completely different place in life.
It's so long ago.
Yeah.
I really felt like this is the first game I've ever played where I was like, man, you should have put it out a little sooner. I would have maybe felt.
Yeah. It almost reminds me a little bit of Incredibles 2. Mm-hmm. I love The Incredibles, the first movie, and I remember when they were rumoring there might be a sequel. I used to care so much. Mm-hmm. That thing came out last year. It didn't even hit my radar. I didn't even care. I'm a different human being. But when that game, there were years, even in middle school and high school, like, I'd love if they did a sequel, and you just missed the wave at a certain point. And
I think this
sounds
kind
like it's a little bit of that.
I think
it's the story beats, or they kind of like...
Oh, the story
is
enjoying
it.
Garbage, as it always is.
Okay.
But it's so freaking funny. There was a part, without spoiling it, that it is so... The story is absolutely gonzo. Go look on any YouTube, and any people that are even trying to explain it seriously go... Yeah, and then the boss turns into a boat, and then that character, his heart becomes the other person's heart. This is nonsensical to the extreme. This is the worst story ever made in a video game, and I love it. Yeah. I'm watching this going, I'm in, but this is
I'm
the
going to be
dumbest.
playing this completely blind.
It is. I am excited for your kind of take on it because it is so stupid.
Yeah,
and I'm laughing. The concept of Kingdom Hearts and its story, to me, has gotten funnier with time. As a kid, I went, Final Fantasy characters and anime characters talking to Mickey Mouse, and Mickey Mouse is... I retweeted something on the DweeBros Twitter. Somebody put, there's a part from Birth by Sleep, the game that came out on PSP. There's a character, Zack. Or not Zack, he looks like Zack. It's a Terra or whatever from that. But he goes... And that was when I felt the darkness overtake me. And it's a shot of him, and the next shot is who he's talking to, and it's Minnie Mouse and the Chipmunks. And that sums up Kingdom Hearts. This doesn't make sense. This is a kid's fan fiction.
Fantasy.
Yeah, it's his fan fiction. It's some like kindergartner's fan fiction. That is the whole story to Kingdom Hearts. It is nonsensical. It's total garbage. I love it. I love Kingdom Hearts. As I'm playing Kingdom Hearts 3, my wife was like watching, and some of these like people were coming out. She wasn't saying anything, but I started to laugh because these characters came out of nowhere talking to Mickey Mouse. Oh, she did comment. She was like, "Why is Mickey Mouse wearing that?" And Mickey Mouse has these like zippers and like plaid shirts and like trying to look like a goth like thing. And I just started laughing. She did mention that, but as these like characters come out, like we're in the Monsters Inc. world, and this person comes out and is like, the darkness, Sora, is going to come to get you. And it's like, but then Mike Ganowski is like, wow, Sora, what's he talking about? And it creates these situations where we're like, this is so stupid. But there is a part in the Monsters Inc. world that made me, I just was like flabbergasted at what I was seeing. I don't want to spoil it. I really think you should play and experience it because... I was thinking about it days later. I was like, "Wow, that happened." Like this, one of the I don't know how to explain it, but how that world kind of ends or wraps up is so funny.
I need to play that. I need to.
It is quite the experience, but yeah, Kingdom Hearts 3. I like it, but it's weird.
Do you suggest watching like a story recap before, or should I just go in?
You should watch a story recap for the entertainment value. There was one I said in our group chat was the way that the recap starts. I wish I could. Maybe I'll put it right here to go check this guy's video out. But he was talking with his friend, or they were streaming on his Twitch channel, and his friend came over who's huge into Kingdom Hearts and explained the story to him as he's streaming for like 3 hours. He told, like, info dumped this whole thing. And he said, so this is me after taking notes on that, and here's it is. And he very aggravatedly explains the story, and it using, like, he draws, like, cartoons and stuff, and, like, shows little, like, cartoons and stuff with, like, then this guy turns into a boat and all this other stuff, whatever. But watch that for the entertainment value, and then go into this knowing nothing matters. This is nonsense.
Okay, I'll watch that then.
Definitely, I recommend watching a recap. If I'll find it down and post one there. But Kingdom Hearts 3 is the only thing I played this week or this month. I have not had a lot of time. Oh, Apex Legends. We do Hangouts.
Yeah, we do.
Check out our Hangouts and stuff.
Anything else you did on Hangouts notable?
We played Ace Combat, I believe.
Resident Evil.
Resident Evil. We beat Resident Evil.
Mm-hmm.
Resident Evil 2 remake.
I played Myst. You can watch my thoughts on Myst or Real Myst. You can watch that on the Backlog Bros, which you watched. But
you launched a new show.
Yeah, we launched a new show.
Check that out. Episode 1 is up.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
We had a great experience making that thing. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We want to do an episode a month. That's our goal right now. And so if you like the show, definitely write us in the comments. If you see something that we spin on the wheel and you're like, whoa, I would love to see that. I can't promise you anything because it's random. We spin a wheel. But I can keep it on the wheel if it's something. Like somebody wrote and said that they wanted to see Mass Effect 2 because it was on the wheel. So we'll leave it on the wheel. So if you see something you want us to keep it on there.
I think it's a fun concept, and go check that out. But we did
Backlog Bros.
Backlog Bros is the shows. Backlog Bros is the shows. But we did some hangouts. Check those out. I watched some TV.
You watched some TV?
Yeah.
TV shows?
I will very soon. Next podcast, I will finish True Detective Season 3. I just watched the second to last episode. There's 8 episodes. I'm dying to talk about it.
Maybe give full thoughts on that.
But I will give full thoughts on that next one because I'll have the full episodes by then. But I'm enjoying that a lot. And then the Ted Bundy tapes.
I don't know what that is. I know he's a killer.
I know he's a killer. Came out on Netflix. It's 5 episodes, and it kind of explains Ted Bundy. And there was stuff I did not know about Ted Bundy in that. Did you know he escaped?
What?
He escaped from jail. Not once, but twice.
What?
He got out of jail.
I didn't know that at all.
What was funny, though, was me and my wife came back. It was like kind of a date night for us.
Gosh.
And she said, I've been wanting to watch the Ted Bundy tapes. Let's watch that. I know more about Ted Bundy than she does.
Yeah.
There was a point in time when I went down this rabbit hole of watching all these serial killer documentaries.
Oof.
So I went, you sure? And she said, yeah, I want to watch that. And I said, okay. So we watched all episodes in one sitting. And at the end of it, she went, I don't feel so good. Yeah, I don't feel so good. It's like, I don't know what you're expecting there, but
yikes.
This guy was a total
I saw the preview
evil guy. I don't know.
I saw the preview for the movie with Zac Efron playing Ted Bundy.
Oh yeah,
it's like he's like, yeah, man. And I was just like, what is this?
Yeah, maybe check out the Ted Bundy tapes. But there was some crazy stuff in this.
Weird tone.
70s were a funny time.
He was a really bad killer.
I do want to, if you don't want to hear it, you can just skip ahead a little bit. But there's one thing I want to spoil in this, which was killing me, which was there's a point when all these girls, all these like women are getting killed, and they finally find a suspect in Ted Bundy. There's events happen or whatever, and they bring him in as a suspect. And it's pretty clear this guy is probably who did it. All this stuff starts adding up, and they have him. And that's like right around the time when he escapes or whatever. He escapes the first time he gets brought back. He gets escaped again or whatever, and that he starts killing more. But he gets found somewhere else. He gets picked up a couple states over. 70s never seemed like a long time ago, but it's been 50 years since the 70s. Going on close to 50 years. So you don't think of the 70s being that long ago. Well, there's a part of this series where me and my wife were cracking up because he evades arrest. So all these people are like, Ted Bundy, and they're going nuts on this local news and the news at the time, like in, I forgot where he's at, Colorado, whatever. They're going nuts because they're like, we finally found this freaking serial killer. He escapes. Goes to Florida. He changes his appearance, and he just gets a mustache. But he is plastered all over the television in just 4 states over, or whatever it was, 5 states over. And they bring in this guy, and they're like, who is this mystery man? And they have on newspapers, and it's Ted Bundy. It's the guy that's plastered with a mustache. It's just the guy, and now he has a mustache. And they're like, because he won't give his name, and he doesn't have an ID. And they're like, who is the mystery man? So the whole news thing is, the mystery man is in court today. And it's like, how do you not know? Well, it explains in the series that police precinct, the way that police precincts worked is they didn't talk to each other. So you could kill somebody and then go 2 states over, and they don't know who you are, and they don't know like that you were already doing similar crimes. You know what I mean? Because they weren't talking to each other. So all these like sorority girls were getting killed and stuff, and then all these sorority girls were getting killed over there, and they're scratching their head like, who is it? And who's the mystery man?
Yeah.
They weren't talking, but it was so funny. But it's like they bring him in court and they're like, well, what's his name? It's like, he won't say his name. And it just is, it's the most cartoonish, like, comedy thing of like, it's Ted Bundy with a mustache now.
Oh my goodness.
But it goes to show, it's like, wow, they weren't talking to each other.
Different time. There was that infrastructure.
We're so used to the information overload that we look at that and go, you guys are stupid. It's like, things weren't like that always.
That's really crazy.
But check that out, Ted Bundy Tapes. There's some nutso stuff in there. But yeah, Ted Bundy.
Is it more focused on the crimes themselves and like the disgusting stuff he did, or is it more focused on like him evading police and stuff? Like, or is it kind of all?
But it's this whole like arc of what he did and stuff.
How many episodes is it?
5.
Hour each.
About then. I think it's definitely worth checking out if you're into crime stuff, which I am. I'm just I mean, you like making murder, so I think you'll have fun with this.
Yeah.
Well, if murder's fun.
Yeah, it's really fun how those guys are still in prison. Oh yeah. It sucks, sorry. Oh man. Those guys are still in jail.
But yeah, that was it for TV. Movies.
Yeah.
We watched some movies together.
We watched 2 movies together, yeah.
We watched some David Lynch classics.
We've been watching through his movies, except for the ones that are not worth watching, I guess. We watched Wild at Heart.
Starring Nicolas Cage.
Yep, and Laura Dern.
Laura Dern.
And then we watched Lost Highway, starring the president from Independence Day. And the chick with the weird haircut, Patricia Arquette.
Yeah, and I will sum up. Wild at Heart is funny from beginning to end.
Yeah,
it is violent. You will laugh continuously.
A lot of naked people, a lot of dead people,
a lot of sex, a lot of murder, a lot of extreme violence. But I just was cracking up those first 10 seconds. Something happens in those first 10 seconds.
Lynch almost has, especially with Wild at Heart, I could say he has a weird mix of a little bit of the Coen brothers, and just it's very dry situational things at times.
Yeah.
A little bit of Tarantino with like these larger than life, or like the bank robbery scene in Wild at Heart reminded me of something that would happen in in a Tarantino movie, and then the guy's head gets blown off and stuff. And then a third thing that's just Lynch. I mean, Lynch is his own guy, but if you're into Coen brothers, if you're into Tarantino, Wild at Heart is a movie worth watching. Very much. If you're into those really auteur, entertaining, just you
art
can tell
house films.
This guy has his fingerprints all over this movie, and it's trying to do its own unique thing.
Lost Highway, or did you have anything
Wild at Heart? I really liked. I thought it was a lot of fun, a lot of nuts craziness, some really chilling stuff in it. Just just some of the people that they run into in the movie are just very weird and just
famous actors make some
disturbing. Yeah, famous actors do some messed up stuff, but. Yeah, Wild at Heart is a good movie. And then Lost Highway.
Yeah. So if you're having fun in Wild at Heart, or grimacing at Wild at Heart, but having a overall fun time with Wild at Heart, Lost Highway is, the first half of the film primarily is a dark, very hard to watch
thriller,
creepy, unsettling film. I think it's Lynch's darkest film. The first time I watched this, there is a part I won't spoil in the film that still chills me when I think about it. Very classic in that movie. That's cool to see.
Yeah.
But it's actually my least favorite of Lynch's films. I like, not to say I hated Lost Highway. In a second pass through that we watched the other night together, I actually like it more.
Most of his movies are down to earth enough, even though they're weird and surreal. It's just a little bit up off the ground, a little bit much to where it doesn't. It's interesting and does interesting things, but it doesn't feel like it thematically holds as much water as you want it to.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like I don't know what he's going for at times.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought back on the movie of like, what is this? And I kind of thought, he plays in a space. So like directors like this aren't just trying to tell a literal story. They're trying to iterate on an idea and a set of themes with the visual medium, right? So, but with that, I think I kind of have an idea of what he was going for. Basically,
this is the most Gonzo script as well.
Yeah.
There is total characters transform
into different people. That's without spoiling. People in this movie transform into different actors of different everything, and then are the same person.
It is the most
and then maybe they transform back, and then the chick who died earlier is here again with different hair, but then at the end she's in the same hair as before, but this is later, but she was dead, very clearly dead.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff.
But so you almost have to step up a little bit back and say, okay, if we're not taking this literal and we're saying maybe this is this guy's retelling of what happened in his head, and that's even a line in the movie of, I prefer to remember things the way that I remember them, not the way they actually happen.
Yeah.
And that is a theme. I read that David Lynch was very interested in the O.J. Simpson murder case when he made this movie. Because he said O.J. Simpson killed his wife and allegedly stabbed his wife to death and another man. But he was like golfing like the next weekend, and he was like smiling and like signing things for kids and saying it didn't happen that way. No, and he said him and the guy that wrote it with him were obsessed with this idea of like, who would do something, and then like what do they tell themselves in their head happened? And so I don't know if you find this interesting, maybe without getting into spoilers. What the guy does in the movie, there's a lot of people who theorize the transformation, and then what that guy he transforms into goes through is him telling himself why he did what he did.
That's what's fun about all of Lynch's films. Lost Highway, that's a good example. I never thought through that one, but all of Lynch's films, you come away, he never explains his films, but every person's like, I think it means this, I think it means that. And that's the
fun. That's the fun of it. And as long as you don't get sometimes people go off that cliff and say, this is what it means. I don't think David Lynch had a final intended meaning. I think it's just fun to go on those things. But Lost Highway, it's interesting. You say it's your least favorite. I think that I like this better than Eraserhead.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did. I thought the tenseness of that opening and that opening half was just awesome.
I'm not to say that I don't like. I should say this in the same way that I say I have a least favorite Metal Gear. I still enjoy Metal Gear.
I totally get that.
So that's what I mean. Like, I still will watch Lost Highway and still enjoy it.
Yeah. To me, there was just a little bit more of character work I was interested in this versus Eraserhead had a lot of really cool visuals, but I didn't grab onto any of those characters. I didn't give a frick about the main character himself. He was just visually interesting. And
that makes sense.
But yeah.
So I think that's... Oh, I watched 2 movies I forgot about. The Vice. Or I think it's just called Vice.
I think it's called Vice.
Yeah, Vice. And not the TV show network, Vice. Watched Vice, and Christian Bale plays Dick Cheney and totally nails Dick Cheney.
And those things I've seen, it looks
unreal. Yeah. He is known for changing his body, and he gained a little bit of weight for this role to play Dick Cheney. And it's stuff that I'd always heard about regarding Dick Cheney, but didn't know about. But like I'd always felt it, like growing up and 9/11, all this stuff.
People have always, since I was a kid, said he was a shady guy.
Yeah, but I didn't really know. It's like, but he's the vice president. And then watch a movie, you go, oh, like, and it's by the same people who did Big Short.
Yeah,
which I loved because they found a way to cover stories or political story. Well, Big Short was more, the recession.
Big Short is fascinating.
The way they explain it is entertaining.
Yeah, they educate you.
They educate you in it's edutainment, let's just say. Yeah. They do a great job at that in this one as well. There is laugh out loud like stuff that they do in this, and it wasn't. It's easy for some of the stuff to just be like, come on, or just groaning or whatever, but they make it to where you're laughing and you're engaged with the humor while they're trying to like educate you.
I want to see that. I loved Big Short. This movie and then The Big Short is a perfect example of not pigeonholing a guy just because he's had a big track record in one type of work. Because Adam McKay wrote and directed Big Short and wrote and directed Vice. And before Big Short, there was nothing. You look him up on IMDb. There was nothing about his videography, his movies he had made that would lead you to think he was ever capable of making something like that. He directed Step Brothers and all these. I mean, Step Brothers is good, but he directed a ton of throwaway comedies, like 6 out of 10, Will Ferrell movies and stuff.
But he found his groove.
He found his groove, but like this, you also wonder, sometimes you. Maybe same thing with Bowser, right? Like maybe you work at EA for a while, but you just sometimes I think that we see people who are in industries and they have a track record of some kind, and more often than not, whatever you are 10 years into your career is mostly what you are. But sometimes people surprise you.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
People. Sometimes people have other elements and layers to them that they haven't either had a chance to do or
or found their groove.
So I really have a lot of respect for him because he has made 2 really good movies in a row now that are a totally different thing than what he did for a long time.
What was funny though was Christian Bale, I felt like dips into Batman in this film because of just the way that Dick Cheney's voice is. He had his mannerism within the first 2 minutes. I'm laughing, going, he nailed it. But there is times with just because Christian Bale has a voice, is his natural voice. You can hear coming through. It's like the way he has to talk as Dick Cheney's me and my wife watched it. We were just laughing. I was like, oh, where is he? Where is he? It just starts to sound like.
What do you think
Batman is?
Actual Dick Cheney? What is that experience like because you see movies about people all the time, but
we were thinking about that.
Dick Cheney is here; he's not gone.
Yeah.
What is that like for him to go and watch a movie that is a recreation of things that did not happen that long ago? That is him. Not saying it's one for one or it's all correct.
We laughed. I did say, I was like, oh, I wonder what Dick Cheney thought when he went with his family to see this. But it doesn't paint him in the best of light. But what can you do? That's history.
Yeah.
But that's it. But we have one little treat to...
A morsel.
Something we've talked about for freaking months.
Yeah.
Months and months. This is your treat for making it into the podcast. Or maybe you just skip to the end. I don't know. Maybe you're cheating the system. But the big project that we've been working on.
It's not Backlog Bros.
That was something else.
Yeah.
I did mention that. I did say that this was something.
We've been teasing a big project.
A big project. So the Backlog Bros is its own thing. Mm-hmm. This is the major thing that all hands on deck for. And the project is called DweeBros. So that, you know what? I'm going to put up a picture right now. That's your only teaser for right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a date. March 28th. You will see what the heck is DweeBros. Mm-hmm. And that's all we'll say again. Yeah. That is your E3 announcement.
Yeah, now's a good time. Tap the bell, honestly. You're going to want to see when this thing comes out, you're going to want to see it.
This thing is...
No joke. A lot of work.
Extreme amount of work has gone into this. Yeah. This is our Sony first-party exclusive.
Yeah. This is our...
Of the channel.
This is our Death Stranding.
This is our Death Stranding. Or Metal Gear Solid 5. Maybe we'll never finish it. But... This is something we've all poured our hearts into. Mm-hmm. Everybody in the group, all the DweeBros or whatever, have all worked very hard.
Probably everybody you've ever seen on camera on this channel,
has had their hand
somewhere
in this. But this is something that I think You don't see a lot of you don't see any on YouTube. This content that the Dweebs will be. I'm very excited. We'll have more. You'll see it, and then we will talk about it more in depth. That next podcast. Yeah. Next podcast.
Next time you're seeing us on this podcast, you'll have seen Dweebs, and we'll be talking about them.
Yes. So, thank you for watching. Yeah, make sure to subscribe. It's going to be huge. It's going to be the biggest event in entertainment in YouTube history. So, you can also go to DweeBro YT on Twitter. Also subscribe on there.
Yeah.
Now, I'm done asking nicely. You can subscribe, like, you can comment and say, this was great. This was good. I like Xbox. You can say you have the freedom of speech. You can do anything you want. And I have the freedom to tell you that I love you. And thank you for watching. This isn't a gun. You know what it is? It was a peace sign the whole time. Can you freaking believe that?
That's amazing, man. You had me spooked. I was shaking in my chair.